Hello there. You're listening to Shiz Spills podcast. And here's your host, Shilano.
Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Now today's episode is about Elvis Presley and his manager, which we all know as Colonel Tom Parker. Now the only reason why I'm talking about this is because I went to see Elvis Presley movie last night with my mum. I already read some reviews before the movie was released, and I could tell that it looked dramatic enough because, let's be fair, the director is the one and only Baz Luhrmann, who of course had directed Moulin Rouge. So I was a bit apprehensive about this movie in general beforehand going to see it, and the reviews I read were 50-50 really. So we were a little bit late for the film, but that's okay. I'll speak about the film and what was accurate or not accurate after the info about the background of Elvis with his relationship with the Colonel and a little bit more about the Colonel himself. So let's crack on with this and dive into this drama. So of course Elvis Presley, named Elvis Aaron Presley, was born on 8th of January 1935, born in Tolupo, Mississippi, and relocated to Memphis, Tennessee with his family when he was just 13. His music career began there in 1954, recording at the Sun Records with producer Sam Phillips, who wanted to bring some more sound of African American music to a wider audience. Now, of course, we know music from Elvis like Mystery Train, Heartbreak Hotel, Love Me Tender, Can't Help Falling in Love, Jailhouse Rock. But for his entire career, he had only one man beside him and pushing him for more to help him. Unheard of fame at the time, the man, on the other hand, was likely to be one of the most history's devised figures. In 1956, Colonel Tom Parker became Presley's manager. Since then, everyone has been wondering what's the truth about him. With so much controversy spanning so many years, there's a lot to unpack. Colonel Tom Andrew Parker is claimed to be a Huntington, West Virginian native before discovering his talents as a music promoter. He said he worked with carnivals, assisted with elephants, and even managed a palm reading booth. But no one back then decided to look into the colonel's background. Parker hadn't even been a colonel in any military. He wasn't even served in the United States Army. He never even passed the rank private. He was actually released from the army, being diagnosed being as a quotation psychotic breakdown in the 1930s. When drafted into World War II, he alleged, ate so much food so he ballooned himself to be 300 pounds so he would not be considered unfit for service. The truth is, Parker was born as Andreas Cornelius van Kurjuk, apologies, I am not Dutch, on June 26, 1909 in Breda, the Netherlands, and was the seventh child out of 11. Now, Parker's former assistant, which was, in fact, Brian Raphael, would speak about his temper in the future years after working with him. He quote says, "In these fits of rage, he was a very dangerous man, and it certainly appeared capable of killing. He would be nice 1 second and stare off like he was lost, and then boom, a tremendous force, he'd just snap. You'd never see it coming. Then next 5 minutes later, he would be so gentle, telling a nice soft story." Parker was a suspect for at least one person of interest in a murder in Breda, in the Netherlands, for a woman called Anna van den Eden, a 23-year-old newlywed woman who was found beaten to death in the living quarters behind a grocer store in the spring of 1929. The premises had been searched for money, and except for the killer, who had spread pepper on the body, before fleeing on the scene of the crime in hope that the police dogs would not pick up his scent. There was no witnesses to the murder and almost no clues or evidence was found. The crime was never solved. Parker had been hired to carry out the murder just a few streets away from the family home. Parker was suspected for gambling as well, had massive addiction and was nearly crippling. It's even speculated that he convinced Prelsey to sign up for a residency. I can never say that. Residency. I can't say it now. Oh no, I can't pronounce it now. No, I'm not gonna try again. No. Basically stay in the Las Vegas hotel to help him pay off his debts. He was known to spend 12 to 14 hours a day gambling and wagering large sums of money. Parker reportedly owed $30 million when Elvis died. He played roulette for hours, and with crowds watching him lose, according to one of the Las Vegas hotel managers, the Colonel was one of the best customers. He was worth millions of dollars per year. Elvis became a star in 1956 with his first single, Heartbreak Hotel, and Parker was able to secure Prelsey with fees that made him the highest paid television star at the time. Soon after that, he decided Elvis Presley, brand name. Suddenly, the singer went from virtually unknown to having over 75 different products bearing his image. Everything from a charm bracelet to record players was created, and at the end of 1956, the company that made $22 million. Parker had contracted items such as the ways that he would receive 25% profits. Soon after, he decided to make Elvis the brand name. Again, he took a lot of money off, I think. He even took advantage of those who despised Elvis, despising "I hate Elvis" badges, selling them to anyone who wasn't a fan. There was no stone unturned. Now, he did used everything as a media stunt, including Presley's induction day at the military, including the haircut. Parker and RCA decided to work with Elvis when relevant while he was abroad and released several new songs over the 2 years he was gone. Parker was invited to visit Elvis in Germany but refused to leave the country. Now, after all the publicity that came out of Frank Sinatra's marriage to Mia Farrow, Parker thought it was a good idea with his private relationship with Priscilla that they would announce their engagement as well, or practically force them to persuade to get married. Sounds like Parker and Presley relationship came to an end in the 70s because of Elvis's prescription drug use, but it's thought that Parker either didn't even know how to help or even caused never get publicity would limit earnings of Elvis. They almost stopped working together in 1973 when Parker quit, but then demanded $2 million to buy out to get out of contract. After 2 weeks, they put it behind them, and Presley's father claimed that Elvis didn't have the money to buy him out. Tom Parker eventually handed Elvis Presley's career to the Colonel, robbed his clients blind over the course of 2.5 decades, from the exorbitant 50% fee for his services to a multitude of deals where he would actually made more money than his client. Parker violated plenty of ethical rules, even if Presley was willing to sign the contracts. And that's really it. But all those sources I got was from Elvis getting right and wrong about the real Colonel Tom Parker from Alana Nash from Vanity Fair. The Truth About Elvis Presley, manager by Jeff Summers from Grudge.com. Elvis, the controversial behind the Colonel Tom Parker, explained by Paul Shirley on ScreenRant.com. And How Accurate is Elvis, the movie, which was real and what was not, by Hannah Resnick from Pop Sugar. So, I mean, that's kind of what happened, but from the film itself, seeing it last night as it's so fresh in my head, it's very strange because Elvis and the Colonel, from the movie, we were a little late, so we missed about maybe 4 to 5 minutes of the movie. So it kind of made, like, they made the Colonel a bit creepy, and of course Tom Hanks portrayed the Colonel, and I love Tom Hanks, but this is possibly the first time I didn't like Tom Hanks in a film. It was a bit creepy. It kind of reminded me about of Pennywise a little bit. I don't know why. It just didn't seem right. I really don't know what. It was creepy. Pennywise is creepy anyway. He's a clown. I don't like clowns. But Elvis himself, I mean, look, he was a good-looking man. He knew what he was kind of doing, and I think in the movie and in general, I think I wouldn't really 100% relied on the Colonel for everything. Obviously, with his parents, the mother had a drinking problem. The father went to prison when he was a child, so that was unknown. And Elvis was heavily influenced with African American music, so just at the beginning of his career, even, he would have been cancelled. I guess I hate saying that. People cancelling someone, Elvis was listening to so much African music, as I said, because he was so much inspired by gospel and choir music when he was a child, because when the mother was by themselves, they had to move to a part of town in Tennessee, in Memphis, that was kind of run by African Americans at the time. So he was so influenced then. And of course his hip buckling and all that, it was apparently from the dances and all that. And when he actually became well known just then, when he's early 20s, with his early on music, there was white people that didn't approve on it and counted that he was heavily influenced and socializing with a lot of African Americans, because he was hanging out on a street. Forgive me, I've forgotten the name of the street, but so influenced by them that this group would have cancelled him, and that's why he was kind of sent to go to the military, because he had a massive concert. I'm not sure where it was, but he was told either he had to behave, and if he didn't, he would be arrested. And he didn't listen to anyone. He didn't listen to his parents or the Colonel, and he broke those rules. And of course he was arrested, so they made him a deal: either go to 2 years in prison or 2 years of going to the military. Now, I'm probably read this wrong, but I think, from what I knew beforehand, Elvis got his haircut, obviously, and then went to Germany, but he didn't even do anything in the military, because he had to do the basic training, but he didn't even do anything like soldierly, I guess. He was staying in a hotel room, like a fine hotel room. I even heard, like, his parents came over with him. Like, it didn't really make sense. But and then, like, obviously he met Priscilla there. And in the movie they said that she was a teenager, but in general she was actually 14 when she met Elvis, and Elvis was 24 at the time. So there was a massive age gap there, and of course the parents didn't approve in it in real life, and in the movie they apparently were fine with it. So there was obviously things in the movie that weren't accurate, right? And like in the movie they kind of said that they made some African American artist at the time was very popular, then was friends with Elvis, but apparently he was acquainted with him in real life. He wasn't buddies with him, so that was interesting as well. What else there? I mean, I love his music no matter what, but from watching the movie I was kind of pissed off. I don't know, it's just I didn't like how controlling the Colonel was to Elvis. Like, Elvis should have made his own decisions. It didn't look like he was. And, like, obviously the Colonel was smart enough. He made the father the businessman of Elvis. So basically, he was in charge of the money. But, like, in general, he had no clue to do it. He's not an accountant. He doesn't know anything about money in showbiz. You know, and kind of keeping them in the pocket. But, like, in the movie as well, like, they were saying there was... because they had this agreement with Elvis in the 70s with him that he fired him, and there was a scene in the film, no spoiler, but like it is a spoiler. Basically, Elvis called him out, the Colonel, that was like, you're not even American and you don't have a passport. That's why he wouldn't let Elvis go abroad, because Elvis wanted to go to Tokyo, London, everywhere really, but the Colonel didn't have a passport because he's technically a legal immigrant of the country. He's not even American. I actually, even thinking about that, you know, like in the movie he had an accent and it wasn't even fucking Irish, or not Irish, American. If it was kind of Dutch German, like, which was interesting. So, like, I thought people wouldn't even recognize, like, that's not a West Virginian accent. Like, that's 100% European. So, that kind of things were, like, I couldn't get how they didn't really know that and copped on with it, really. And, like, no one even back room checked him before until that society that were looking into Elvis, because they were white. I don't even want to call them white supremacists, but they were a network that clearly didn't like African Americans and people of colour then. And of course, Elvis kind of had an influence of that. And Colonel said, you never should get political, don't even mention anything. And when Martin Luther King died, they showed that, and one of the Kennedy brothers got shot. They showed that in the film as well, at the time. So, I mean, I really, really don't know if I wouldn't recommend the movie. Now, people have loved it and said, oh, I've gone to see it twice, but, like, for me, I love Elvis, right? I love his music. We all have different reasons why we listen to him. His voice, yeah, he's a handsome fella. Like, I don't think anyone could beat that good looks then. Like, now in fairness, what's his name? Mr. Austin Butler played Elvis. Pretty spectacular, I won't lie. I really wasn't, like, it was like, oh, okay, like, he's getting into him. And, like, even in outside of interviews, like, even last month, I think it was at the Met Gala, or 2 months ago, he was at the Met Gala, he was kind of still sounding like Elvis. He literally lived and breathed Elvis. So, I mean, fair play. But, yeah, the movie, for me, I know, I wasn't around. I was born in 1996. I wouldn't know about Elvis then, and I wasn't there. Blah, blah, blah. But I just think, I mean, for such an icon, for such an artist to go that way, it's hard to think he did. Do I think the Colonel had his fingers kind of in between Elvis's death? Was he one of the reasons? Pretty sure, yeah. I mean, obviously the other half is the drug addiction. Like, basically, like, the Colonel influenced the doctor so much to give him anything to get him up on that stage, which obviously didn't help the addiction. My God, I can't speak. Of Elvis. So I get that. I get that. That's hard. So, but yeah, I just don't. the movie itself, I didn't like. I was like, it was a very long movie. Like, it's 159 minutes. It's nearly 2.5 hours for me. We went to a half-8 screening and we didn't get out till like nearly 11:15, which was late. Very late, like, even, I don't know, don't judge my timings. Yeah, like, the budget was $85 million and box office was 189 million. So, and it was Warner Brothers that distributed it. There we go. I could say that word at least. Some critical responses apparently from the movie was reviews on Rotten Tomatoes was 78% out of 343 reviews, rating it positive 6.8 out of 10. Standard rock biopic formula gets all shook up by Elvis with Baz Luhrmann's dazzling energy style, perfectly complemented by Austin Butler's outstanding lead performance. I mean, I can't deny he was pretty good. Elvis's outfits were amazing. I'm not gonna lie, the outfits, oh Jesus, they were good. That's the only thing I could say. And the cars, I like those cars, but yeah, no, I don't know. I just didn't. I didn't get into it. I was pretty pissed off watching it as well, so very easily. So I think that didn't help. Obviously the response from the Prelsey family prior of the event of the movie being released, it says that Lisa Marie, Elvis' daughter, praised the film on Instagram post, saying twice, calling it nothing short of spectacular. She went to praise on Butler's performance as her late father, stating that he channeled and embodied my father's heart and soul beautifully. In my humble opinion, his performance is unpredicted and finally done accurately and respectfully, while touting Butler's as a frontrunner for the Academy Award for Best Actor. On Luhrmann's direction, she wrote that you can feel his pure love and care and respect for my father throughout this beautiful film, and finally something that myself and my children and their children can be proud of forever. Your utter genius combined with love and respect for my family, father, for this project is just so much beautiful and so inspiring. I don't know, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like the director. So I'm surprised with that. Even Priscilla said that she shared her thoughts on Facebook about it. For curious about the new film Elvis, Baz Luhrmann, the director, provided a private screening for me and Jerry Skilling at Warner Studios recently. The story about Elvis and the Colonel's relationship, truly told brilliantly and creatively, and only Baz, his unique artistic way, could be delivered. And she loved that Austin did an outstanding performance. So yeah, they all liked it. Also, yeah, what was the thing? Baz, I don't like him. One of the reviews, like, it's like he he listened to some of Elvis songs and halfway through and realised that's it. That's what I know about Elvis, and then recorded it. But I think some people were very hard. But probably too hard on him. But yeah, I can definitely see that will probably win an Oscar in the future. So that will be interesting. We'll see within the future till next year what nominations and all that he will get, Austin. Don't know if it would, my opinion, I don't think it would be really worth winning Best Director. God, I'm being so brutal today. But yes, thank you. That's it for today's episode. I hope you guys all have a good evening or day or morning, wherever you were. Let me know what you guys think about the of the movie if you saw on my Twitter at ShadesPillsPod. And yeah, let me know what you guys think of it, and if I'm wrong, that's alright. Yeah, we all have our own opinions, but yeah, let me know what you think of the movie, and the whole drama of it. Of course, Colonel died in 1997 from a heart attack, I think. So, yeah, honestly, I think this movie also made me realize I really fucking don't like the Colonel. fucking hate him. I hate to say it, I don't like him. I think if Elvis was here now, it'd be so much different. I think also it's so sad that Elvis think he didn't deserve, no one's gonna care about him in the future. My god, how fucking wrong was he? How wrong. Like, I went to Memphis and I went to Graceland. Oh my god, he had a carpet wallpaper. Did you know that? That's so freaking weird. Random, so random. But anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. Have a lovely day. See you guys all soon. Don't forget to listen to the podcast anywhere you get your podcast from, on Acast or Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, wherever you can get it from. Thank you guys. See you all soon, and have a good one.
Get us on Twitter @ShaySpillsPod and Instagram @ShaySpillsPodcast. Make sure to check out Shaylin on her socials @ShaylinO. Thanks for listening to Shay Spills Podcast. Make sure to follow Shay Spills Podcast on Twitter and Instagram @ShaySpillsPod and Shay Spills Podcast. And check out Shaylin on her socials @Shaylano. Thanks again. Thanks for listening.